Half of all renters and 30% of homeowners in Rhode Island are paying more than 30% of their take-home income on rent and utilities. And that poses a continuing challenge for the Rhode Island Housing Mortgage Finance Corporation, as that quasi-state agency notes its 45th anniversary of operation this year. Mark Murphy is the editor of the Providence Business News. The cover story in the current edition of the paper outlines this in detail through an interview with Rhode Island Housing's current executive director, Barbara Fields. That is a challenge. It's always, I guess, been a challenge for that agency.
Yeah, it's a challenge for the state. I mean, you know, the issue, I mean, you hit it, right? Those are housing cost burden. I mean, if you look at it a slightly different way, a 2016 study by Housing Works RI, which is based at Roger Williams University, said that households earning the median household income in the state, which is $56,000 and change, could afford the median price single-family home in only 4 Rhode Island municipalities. So, you know, you just have there's this gap between the income people have and what they can afford.
Yeah, interesting statistics as part of the article. Rhode Island Housing, for example, in 2017, 13% had 13% of the mortgages in Rhode Island. They were involved in brokering them through banks, which is one of their main duties, but their duties go way beyond just brokering mortgages, so to speak. They've called for a couple of things: more rental apartments, and they've also called for more affordable housing, some of their goals for this year.
Well, you know, the affordable housing, of course, we know Rhode Island has a law that 10% of housing, you know, in any municipality is supposed to be affordable, and very few hit that mark. But it's interesting, you know, if you look at affordable housing in another way, it actually can be either a spur or a negative against economic development. You know, I've read national economists say that, you know, perhaps one of the reasons that a lot of Sunbelt states are doing better than some in the Northeast is housing is cheaper. And so people can afford to live there, and the talent moves in. I mean, we talk about the brain drain, you know, students finish schools up here and they don't stick around. Well, one of the things is maybe they just can't afford to live here.
Yeah, you've got Barbara Fields quoted in the article as saying she's been going to places like Barrington, Middletown, other communities where I guess there's been some kind of a reluctance to set up more affordable housing developments.
Right, and you can see that. You know, we write every once in a while about new plans, and there's not nearly as much going in, and to spread it around. I mean, that's sort of the idea. Is there's a lot of affordable housing in Central Falls and, you know, parts of Pawtucket and Woonsocket, but it needs to be spread around for economic development. And the idea is economic development to sort of be beyond just the small pockets where it is.
You wrote an editorial, I think, about this, aside from the article in this week's edition as well. What was your thrust there?
Well, I think that basically as a newspaper, we agree with the idea that we need more affordable housing. I mean, we need places for young people, especially those coming out of college, perhaps with a lot of college debt. And as we know, Rhode Island students have a lot of college debt compared to the national averages. They need a place to live in order to work, and if they can't find a job that's really high paying, they can't afford to live here, and they're going to go somewhere else. I mean, people can move, and so it really needs to be addressed.
There's much more about it in this week's edition of the Providence Business News, which also includes a special section on the 2018 awards, the C-Suite special section. And Mark Murphy, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Frank.